Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling the IELTS speaking test, and specifically part one, where they ask you about those everyday topics like your job or your studies.
Yeah, those classic icebreakers.
Exactly. But don't let the casual vibe fool ya. There are definitely some strategic moves you can make to boost your score.
That's right. We've got a fantastic IELTS podcast episode lined up as our guide today.
Oh, this is going to be good. And let me tell you, folks, you're about to discover the power of the example. Seriously, a well-placed example can be the difference between a decent score and like a rock star score.
It's true. Part one is all about those first impressions, right? You're setting the tone for the rest of the speaking exam. And the examiners are looking for fluency and clear communication right from the get-go.
So no pressure, right?
Well, a little pressure maybe.
Yes.
But hey, that's why we're here, to equip you with the tools and strategies you need to nail it.
All right, let's get to it. What's the first golden nugget of wisdom from our source material?
This one's a game changer. Avoid those one-word answers like the plague. The podcast gives a great example.
Lay it on me.
Let's say the examiner asks, do you work or study? And you just blurt out, work. You're missing a prime opportunity to showcase your language skills.
It's like showing up to a potluck empty-handed.
Right, exactly. Instead of just work, I work as a graphic designer, or I'm currently studying to become a veterinarian. Give them something to work with. Spark a little interest.
Okay, so instead of just stating the obvious, we need to elaborate and give them a little more meat on the bone.
You got it. And here's the secret sauce. The podcast recommends using this structure. Answer, explain, example. It's a foolproof way to showcase your fluency and develop your responses.
Okay, break down that structure for me. How does it work in practice?
All right, so first you give your initial answer. Then you explain it a bit further. What are your key responsibilities? What are you passionate about in your field of study? And then bam, you hit them with a specific example that brings it all to life.
I like where this is going. Examples are like the spice of life, right?
Yeah.
They make everything more interesting.
And for IELTS, they can make all the difference. Not only do examples make your answers more engaging, but they also demonstrate that you can use language effectively to convey information, which is exactly what the examiners are looking for.
So it's a win-win. You get to show off your personality and score some brownie points with the examiners.
Precisely. It's all about showcasing your ability to think critically and structure your thoughts in a logical way. And let me tell you, that's music to an IELTS examiner's ears.
Now, speaking of music to my ears, I love how this podcast actually includes some role-playing scenarios to illustrate these techniques in action.
Oh, those are pure gold. They give you a real taste of what to expect in the exam and how to apply those strategies we're talking about.
Absolutely. All right, let's dive into one of these scenarios. So the examiner asks, do you work or study? And the test taker responds with, well, I'm currently a student. I'm pursuing a degree in environmental science at the University of Bristol. So far, so good, right?
It's a solid start for sure. They've answered the question clearly and provided some basic information about their studies. But it's a bit like a plain canvas. We need some color.
Okay, let's add some color. The test taker continues with, it's a fascinating field because it allows me to learn about ways to protect our planet. For example, last semester I worked on a project about renewable energy solutions, which was incredibly eye-opening. Mic drop.
Now we're talking. That example about the renewable energy project takes the response to a whole new level.
It's like they suddenly went from black and white to full-blown Technicolor.
Exactly. It's engaging, specific, and showcases their vocabulary and passion for the subject. The examiners eat that stuff up.
And you know what else I noticed? They effortlessly slipped in a variety of tenses. Present, continue, present simple. It's like a grammar symphony.
You're sharp.
Yeah.
Using a mix of tenses like that demonstrates grammatical range and control, which are essential for achieving a high band score. It shows that you're not just relying on basic sentence structures, but that you can express yourself with nuance and precision.
It's like they're subtly flexing their grammar muscles without breaking a sweat.
Exactly. And it's all done so naturally, it's like they're not even trying, which of course is the ultimate goal.
So by adding that one little example, they've managed to tick off multiple boxes on the IELTS checklist. I'm starting to understand why the podcast calls this a Band 9 response.
It truly hits all the right notes. But let's not forget the importance of the explain part of our answer, explain, example structure.
Right. It's not just about throwing in any random example. It needs to flow seamlessly with the rest of your response.
Absolutely. The explain step is all about creating a smooth and coherent narrative. You want to connect the dots for the listener and show how your example supports your main point.
So it's like building a mini argument with the example serving as your evidence. I'm digging this strategic approach.
You got it. It's all about showcasing those higher-level thinking skills that the IELTS examiners love to see.
Okay, we've got the answer, explain, example framework down pat. Now let's put it to the test with some other common Part 1 questions. What else can we expect in this section?
Well, there are a few classics that tend to pop up, but before we get into those, I want to emphasize that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Ooh, sounds intriguing. So there's more to come.
Oh yeah, there's a whole world of IELTS wisdom waiting to be uncovered.
All right, then I'm ready to dive deeper.
Let's do it. All right, so one of the most common questions you'll encounter is, how do you spend your day at work or university? Seems pretty straightforward, but there's a real art to answering it well.
Okay, so it's not just about rattling off your schedule like a robot.
Nope, not at all. Remember, the examiners are looking for more than just a list of activities. They want to see descriptive language vocabulary and that smooth, coherent speaking style.
So how do you turn like a boring routine into an IELTS-worthy answer?
Think of it like you're painting a picture with words. If you're a student, you might say something like, well, my day usually kicks off with a couple of lectures. We dive into all sorts of fascinating topics like, artificial intelligence or sustainable agriculture.
Okay, that's definitely more interesting than just saying, I go to class.
Right. And then you could add, afternoons are usually spent in the library. Sometimes I'm working solo on research projects or teaming up with classmates for group assignments.
I can practically see you there,
Yeah.
surrounded by books and buzzing with ideas.
And to wrap it up, you could say, and of course, no student's day would be complete without a good dose of caffeine. So you'll often find me catching up with friends over coffee, between classes.
Okay, so it's all about adding those little details and sensory experiences that really bring your answer to life.
You got it. And if you have a job, you can easily adapt this approach. Maybe you start your day by checking emails and planning your tasks, then move on to team meetings, presentations, client calls. Whatever your typical day looks like, just make sure you describe it in a way that's engaging and showcases your vocabulary.
So it's like finding those key moments that really capture the essence of your day and using descriptive language to, paint that vivid picture for the examiner.
Exactly. And remember, even those everyday tasks can become IELTS gold if you describe them in a compelling way. Instead of just saying, I answer emails, you could say, I prioritize urgent requests and craft thoughtful responses to client inquiries.
Okay, that's way more impressive. It's like taking something ordinary and making it sound extraordinary.
Now, here's a question that often trips people up. Do you prefer studying alone or with others? It seems simple, but there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, I can see that. It's not just a yes or no answer, is it?
Nope. The examiner wants to hear you explain your preference and, give them a glimpse into your learning style and personality.
So it's like a chance to show off who you are and how you learn best.
Exactly. If you prefer studying alone, you could say something like, I find I concentrate best when I'm in a quiet environment without distractions. I really value the freedom to work at my own pace and, really dive deep into the material.
And if you're more of a social learner?
Well, you could say, I love brainstorming with my classmates and learning from their perspectives. Group study sessions help me stay motivated and, they often spark new ideas.
So either way, you're demonstrating your ability to articulate your thoughts and, express yourself clearly.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to inject a little bit of personality into your answer. Let your enthusiasm shine through. The examiner wants to see that you're genuinely engaged and, that you're a real person, not a robot.
I love that human touch. It's what makes the IELTS speaking test so interesting. It's not just about reciting facts and figures. It's about connecting with another person through language.
Absolutely. And speaking of connecting, let's talk about those band-boosting secrets that the podcast reveals. They really emphasize the importance of using varied vocabulary.
So it's not just about using big words.
Nope. Not at all. It's about choosing words that are precise and expressive, words that really capture the nuance of what you're trying to say.
So how do you actually do that in the moment when you're nervous and the pressure's on?
Well, the podcast gives a great example. Remember that response about studying environmental science? They used words like pursuing, fascinating, and renewable energy.
Right. Those are great examples of words that are both specific and engaging. And I noticed the language flowed really smoothly in that response. There weren't any awkward pauses or hesitations.
That's another key factor in achieving a high band score, fluency. The examiners want to hear you speak naturally and confidently without getting stuck or, having to constantly correct yourself. And here's a little secret weapon. The podcast really stresses the importance of practicing your pronunciation.
Oh, that's huge. Stumbling over words can really throw you off your game.
It can, for sure, especially with those tricky words like environmental developer and responsibilities. Practice those bad boys until you can say them in your sleep.
That's great advice. I'm already feeling more confident just thinking about it.
Mm.
But it's not just about pronunciation and vocabulary, right? There's also that element of personality that the podcast keeps highlighting.
You're absolutely right. One of my favorite tips from the podcast is to add a personal touch to your answers. They even say, show enthusiasm. Sounding engaged and positive leaves a good impression.
I love that. It's like you're inviting the examiner into your world for a moment, sharing a little piece of yourself.
Exactly. And that personal touch can really make you stand out. It shows that you're not just reciting memorized answers, but that you're genuinely connecting with the questions and sharing something authentic.
So it's about finding that balance between being prepared and being yourself.
Precisely. But amidst all this talk about what to do, it's also crucial to be aware of what not to do.
Ooh. Tell me about those IELTS pitfalls. What should we be avoiding?
One of the biggest mistakes test takers make is going off on tangents. Getting sidetracked and talking about things that aren't relevant to the question.
So stay focused. No rambling stories about your cat or your latest Netflix binge.
Exactly. Stay laser focused on the question and keep your answers concise and to the point. Remember, time is precious in the IELTS speaking test.
Okay. Tangents avoided. What else should we be wary of?
Another common mistake is trying to use overly complex vocabulary or grammar structures. It's great to showcase your language skills, but don't try to force in words or phrases that you're not comfortable with.
So it's better to use simpler language accurately and fluently than to fumble over those big words and complex sentences.
Absolutely. Clarity and coherence are key. The examiners want to see that you can communicate effectively, not that you have a PhD in obscure vocabulary.
Right. It's about conveying your message clearly and confidently, not showing off.
Now, speaking of showcasing skills, the podcast has another awesome role play scenario that demonstrates all of these principles in action. Are you ready for round 2?
Bring it on. I'm feeling like an IELTS ninja ready to dodge those pitfalls and impress those examiners.
You're on fire. All right, so the podcast actually gives us a really handy list of common Part 1 questions. It's like a cheat sheet for the IELTS speaking test.
Ooh, I love a good cheat sheet. Let's hear it.
All right, question number 1. What do you do? Simple, but crucial. It's your first chance to make a strong impression.
So no pressure then.
Well, a little bit. But hey, that's the name of the game, right?
Okay, so how do we nail this one?
Be clear, concise, and engaging. Don't just say, I'm a teacher. Tell them what you teach. What age group, maybe even mention a specific project your students are working on. Give them a little glimpse into your world.
Okay, paint a picture with words. Got it. What's next?
All right, question number 2. Why did you choose this job or field of study?
Ooh, that one's a bit more personal, isn't it?
It is. This is your chance to showcase your motivation, connect your choice back to your values. Is it a childhood dream? Did a mentor inspire you? Tell your story.
Briefly, of course.
Of course. All right. Question number 3. Do you enjoy your work or studies?
I'm guessing honesty is key here, but with a positive spin, right?
You nailed it. Even if your job isn't always sunshine and rainbows, focus on the aspects you do enjoy. Maybe it's the challenge or the people you work with or the sense of accomplishment. Find the silver lining and let it shine through.
Okay, positivity check. What's next?
Question number 4. What are your daily responsibilities? Time to get specific.
All right, so walk me through this one. How do we tackle it?
Think about those key tasks you handle on a regular basis. Do you manage team, analyze data, create presentations? Give the examiner a clear overview of your typical workday. Highlight those core responsibilities.
Okay, so paint a picture of a day in the life.
Right, you got it. Now for question number 5. What are your future career plans?
Time to dream big.
Exactly. Don't be shy about sharing those long-term goals. It shows ambition and gives the examiner a sense of your vision for the future. Whether it's a promotion, a specialization, starting your own business, let them know where you're headed.
Okay, so aspirations and goals, check. What else do we have?
All right, this one might sound familiar. How do you spend your day at work or university?
Wait, didn't we already cover this one?
We did. But remember, slight variations in phrasing can give you another opportunity to showcase different aspects of your day. Think about your routines, your interactions, the environment you work in. It's all about creating a multifaceted picture.
Okay, so a chance to add more color to that canvas.
Exactly. And now for another returning favorite. Do you prefer studying alone or with others?
Ah, yes. The classic learning style question.
It's a popular one for a reason. It allows you to reveal your personality and how you learn best. So are you a solo study ninja or a collaborative guru?
Explain your preference and, let your personality shine through.
Absolutely. And now for the grand finale, what are your hobbies?
Hobbies. That sounds a bit different from the other questions.
It is, but it's a great opportunity to showcase your interests outside of work or studies.
Huh.
Give the examiner a more well-rounded view of who you are.
So if I'm a rock climbing enthusiast or a baking aficionado, this is my chance to shine.
Precisely. Share those passions and, let your enthusiasm shine through.
Fantastic. I feel like we just aced a practice round of the IELTS Speaking Test Part 1.
We certainly covered a lot of ground, but remember, the examiner is listening for more than just your answers. They're paying attention to your grammar, vocabulary, fluency, and pronunciation. It's all about presenting yourself as a well-rounded and effective communicator.
So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Right. You got it. So practice, practice, practice. Take those questions. We just went over brainstorm your answers, record yourself, and listen back. The more you practice, the more confident and fluent you'll become.
And don't forget those band-boosting secrets. Specific examples, varied vocabulary, fluent delivery, a touch of personality. Those are your keys to IELTS success.
Absolutely. And remember, it's okay to be nervous. Everyone gets butterflies before a big test. But just breathe, relax, and trust in your preparation. You've got this.
Awesome advice. Well, folks, that wraps up another deep dive into the IELTS Speaking Test. We've covered a ton of ground today, from strategic frameworks to common questions to band-boosting secrets. You're now armed with the knowledge and tools you need to rock Part 1.
So go out there, practice your heart out, and ace that exam. We believe in you.
Until next time, happy studying. And remember, the power of the example is real. Use it wisely.